Nintendo has never been one to stick with the status quo. As one of the gaming industry's main innovators, it only makes sense that several of their past titles might stick out as a little weird or experimental. Today, we're talking shop about some of the strangest Nintendo-published titles to ever grace their hardware. From Yoshi going first-person shooter to the DK bongos, we're sparing no expense. Here are a few games from Nintendo's past I can't even believe exist. It's one thing to tell me a Donkey Kong Country-style platformer was developed for the GameCube. That's all fine and good, to be expected. But if you told me that the entire game was controlled using the DK Bongo controller, now that's another thing entirely. In Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, hitting the right bongo moves DK right, the left one moves him left, and hitting both at the same time makes him jump. Movement and a jump. What more do you need in a 2D platformer, right? Well, in addition to the drum controls, the DK Bongo controller can actually pick up the sound of a clap, or scream, adding one more input to the game's main controls. Clapping your hands in the real world sees DK also perform a clap, with which he can interact with the environment around him. Clap to grab loose bananas, interact with fairies which help make new platforms, and latch on to these little monkey bushes to help DK swing through some of the game's more elevated levels. The ideas at play in Jungle Beat are unique in and of themselves, and it would honestly be a fun platformer all on its own, but the fact that the bongos are used as the input device makes it that much more creative. I loved Jungle Beat as a kid, and now every time I see those bongos, I still can't believe I played through an entire platformer using a music peripheral. Another jaw-dropper from Nintendo's past, did you know Yoshi had a light gun rail shooter? Because I didn't. This was the one I actually had no idea even existed while researching for this video. I had to find out all I possibly could about this obscure SNES Mario game. I'm a little young to have experienced the actual Super Scope back in the day. I mean, all I really know about Nintendo's iconic Zapper controllers from Super Smash Bros. However, I was able to give Yoshi Safari a try, and I actually had a blast. Despite it being somewhat of a relic, the game feels great. Yoshi's Safari presents a side of the Mushroom Kingdom I'm definitely not familiar with. At the beginning, Mario, who is hitching a ride on Yoshi's back, is asked by Princess Peach to save her friends, the kidnapped Prince Pine and King Fret of Jewelry Land. Yeah, two new characters, Jewelry Land. I was pretty shocked at all that too. I didn't even know these things existed. But you know what's also shocking? The fact that this is a Mario shooter game. I'm guessing this is Mario firing these blue blobs from the Super Scope while riding Yoshi's back, and not Yoshi spitting up blue mucus as projectiles, right? I hope so. Despite this being a pretty short and simple on-rail shooter, I was pleasantly surprised at how much fun I was having riding Yoshi through the game's several unique areas. However, the highlights are definitely the boss fights, which mostly outshine the levels in my opinion. In classic Mario fashion, the Koopalings serve as each of the world's bosses, and they pilot some pretty fearsome mechs, which leads to some enjoyable fights, most of which have you aiming your shots at their weak point while simultaneously destroying projectiles that might put Yoshi in harm's way. If you're like me, you've probably never heard of Yoshi Safari before this, but also if you're like me, you're probably pretty interested now, aren't you? Have you ever thought to yourself, you know, Mario Party would make for a perfect board game, because, you know, it is one. Clearly, the designers at Nintendo thought the same, because Mario Party E is a real thing. The Mario Party series actually had a physical board game that featured cards which could integrate with the Game Boy Advance handheld. Players would set up the board and cards and play on a real-life tabletop, just like any other board game. But here's the key. Some of the game's cards were made to be swiped on the GBA's e-reader peripheral, which would then load a quick Mario Party minigame onto the GBA console that players must complete either solo or head-to-head. And the outcome on the GBA would determine the result in the actual board game. The 11 or so minigames featured in Mario Party E are super simple. For example, one of the solo games is a round of Whack-A-Goomba, simply press A to swing the hammer, and others rely on a multiplayer element to add in more complexity. For example, one of them sees two players passing around the GBA, taking turns inflating a Wario balloon until it takes too much air and pops on the unlucky loser. Many of the minigame ideas on display here are extremely clever, just like this. But the low game total and overall lack of variety definitely leaves something to be desired. Though I've never had the chance to play a full game of Mario Party E, I still think this is a genius concept. The symbiosis of a tabletop board game and a handheld gaming device is such a cool idea that that honestly would be amazing to see brought back on the Switch one day. Especially with the handheld nature of the Switch and amiibo functionality, the time has never been better for Nintendo to revive board game, video game integration with one of their IPs. Mario Party E was the pioneering title, and what I would definitely call the strangest Mario Party game ever created. The year 2013, better known on this channel as the Year of Luigi, was just a strange time overall. Touted as a 30th anniversary celebration, this was the year Mario's brother Luigi was highlighted like never before. At times, he was even given priority over his attention hog of a brother, Mario. One oft-forgotten example of Luigi's time in the sun is Dr. Luigi, the Wii U Dr. Mario spin-off, in which, you guessed it, Luigi stars as the Doctor instead of his bro. Why? Well, we don't exactly know. There's no other good reason as to why Dr. Luigi actually became canon other than to simply celebrate the Year of Luigi. And living in a time now where everyone's a doctor due to Dr. Mario World, it's easy to forget that Mr. Greenstash was the second Mushroom Kingdom resident to get his PhD. What we do know, however, is that Dr. Luigi, despite being a pretty obscure spin-off, is a really fun puzzle game with a nice variety of modes. In its main mode, the game does the tongue-in-cheek thing of making the pill blocks shaped like the letter L, just for Luigi. This one extra nub on each block puts a whole different spin on the traditional Dr. Mario gameplay, which can definitely shake things up a bit when it comes to organizing your board. Of course, more traditional Dr. Mario game modes are also available here, and with it being on Wii U, there is also online matchmaking for head-to-head. It should also be noted that Dr. Luigi uses the gamepad in a cool way. Hold the gamepad vertically and use the touchscreen in the drag-and-drop Virus Buster mode. Dr. Luigi is a truly one-of-a-kind take on Dr. Mario's classic puzzle action, and under the silly exterior, it's an awesome little game that you should definitely grab on Wii U while you still have the chance. Be weird like me and buy Dr. Luigi in the year 2022. Pokemon has been thrown into many spin-offs over the course of its lifespan, and of course, some have been weirder than others. Bottom line, seeing the Pokemon characters in quirky offshoot titles is nothing new or surprising. However, the 2003 GameCube game Pokemon Channel takes the concept of wacky Pokemon spin-off to a whole new level. This is literally a Pokemon-themed TV watching simulator. I'm not kidding. This is barely a game. I remember renting this from a video store as a kid, and I'm definitely glad I went that route instead of actually buying it. I was so confused when I turned the game on, and let me just say, I don't fondly remember any sort of gameplay experience on offer here. This is not to say Pokemon Channel has no value. It definitely provides some entertainment, just not what you'd expect from a Pokemon video game. Channel is one of the weirdest concepts for a game ever, as it really all boils down to turning on a TV and then, as the title suggests, watching various channels. And when I say watch, I mean it. Seriously, like the first 10 minutes literally have you watching a short anime episode. There's not a whole lot of interactivity with this game, which is probably why I was so bored as a kid playing this. But looking back with the retrospective lens, I can certainly appreciate it more for its uniqueness and humor. Similarly to something like Animal Crossing, Pokemon Channel runs by using the GameCube's internal clock, making new channels available on each real-world day, which provides some incentive for checking back in on your TV and partner Pikachu on a daily basis. I can best describe this game as a cross between Hey You Pikachu, Animal Crossing, the quiz show from Mario Party 7, and the shopping channel from Persona 5. And if that's not weird, I don't know what is. Pokemon Channel is the black sheep of the Pokemon GameCube library, and even now, I still can't believe that it's a game that saw the light of day. So, how do you feel about these weird Nintendo games? Do you have any good, or bad, or strange memories with any of them? Which obscure Nintendo titles did I miss here? Let me know in the comments section. There's certainly more weird stuff out there, plus I'm sure there's much more weirdness to come in Nintendo's future. Just look at Ring Fit, Labo, and Game Builder Garage. While we wait to see what weirdness is in store for us next, remember to keep it here with this channel for more quality Nintendo content. Thanks for watching.